Hello, everybody. I made it. Boy, I just tell you, it was an interesting start to this video. And you know what? I'm going to start out by saying I do these videos for me because I need the motivation. And I hope you get some motivation from watching as well. I have some really, really special people this evening. I've known them for several years. We have Aaron Garcia and Veronica Mendez. And we're going to be talking about what they do. And they are so awesome. I mean, I had a treatment. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it all out, to be really honest with you, but it's so exciting because she is an empath and he is so excellent in just getting to the root cause of people's problems and concerns. And so that's what's super exciting. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot. I just want to say I thank you for taking time to come and join us this evening. We are broadcasting on E360 TV. You can download your application E360 TV, and that will work. Then you can put it right on a big screen for yourself on Amazon Fire, Roku, Apple, and Android TV. And, without further ado, I'm going to bring our special guests on. Come on in. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Stephen.
Awesome. Thank you. They're here.
It's great to see you.
I know. It was like right down to the last few seconds that we got this finally working. It's like, okay, it is working. That's good. So yes, this is the second time that you've been on the Get to Know broadcast. I mean, I took a break there for about 2 years, and I just had to kind of gather myself together. And I'm so glad to be back, and I'm like super honored that you're here. So why don't we start by you just like explaining, what you do, and we'll go from there. I'm going to ask a few questions, and let's just take it forward from there.
Okay.
All right.
Well, in a nutshell, what we do is helping people that deal with a lot of emotional overwhelm, anxiety, things that are holding them back where they feel stuck in their life. And what we try to help them with is releasing a lot of that emotional energy that's stuck within their body, their cellular nervous system. And that way they can create more peace, more harmony within themselves, but also to have them be more focused in creating the things that they want in their life.
So what happens when people get, they're, as they grow up, when they're a little kid, it all starts from sometimes even in the womb. The baby's developing, they're feeling the mother's energy, just things that are going around. And at that moment, they're all feeling and they're absorbing anything that the mother's feeling. And, they're just all like a sponge. So things get stuck in the nervous system, like these emotional energies get stuck in the nervous system. So we help to draw that out and allow your body to release it. Because if it's not released, then you get, things that start to affect you later on in life. Like you could get triggered by people and you might not even know why. You might just, something might resemble like a past incident, or you might just even like smell something that reminds you of something like a bad experience, or see something that really affects you, and you can just get triggered, and the body starts to react as if you were in that same at that moment. So we just help to draw that out.
That's really awesome. You draw some stuff out of me when we did it. And that's what I was kind of alluding to is that I still need to try and figure it out. I mean, I've asked a few people, but I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet. But I'm in a pretty darn good space. And that's always better than being in a bad space. I know that we might have some viewers tonight that aren't really feeling excited about life and enjoying their situation. And as a result, hopefully we'll be able to give them some information that will help them in their journey. I put the information about this broadcast in the post. But I wanted to ask you about, what does it mean when you say emotional clearing and energy healing? What does that mean? Maybe you can describe that for us.
I'll start with the emotional healing and clearing. And pretty much what Veronica was mentioning just a minute ago is we all deal with challenges. Like you mentioned earlier, Stephen, challenges are a part of our life. This is how we grow. And throughout that process, we're going to come up across a lot of different experiences in our life, things that are going to make us joyful, happy, but there's also the polar opposite, which we can experience heartaches, we can experience hurts and angers and resentments and guilt. And I can list a whole name of things, and you guys can just insert where that fits in your life. And a lot of people, they'll go through an experience and it's just an experience for them. But that memory of how it felt for them, if they never had the time to process it or deal with it, it gets trapped. It's almost like they just kind of bottled it in and it got stuck there and went dormant like a virus for so many years. And, you can go, let's say 10 years later, and anything that resembles that past experience at a subconscious level, it's like it's going to recognize that without even understanding what's happening. And it's what I always tell people. It's like it pulls the file out from the hard drive, opens it up and says, oh, this looks like this situation. So this is how you're going to react. And then your whole physiology will start to shift as if you're going through that experience again. Heart rate will increase. All these chemical things are happening inside your body, and people can start lashing out. They can withdraw, and it's a cycle. So when we're clearing the emotional energy, it's helping them to finally process and release what they've been hanging on to. And usually when we're working with people, it's like stuff they've forgotten about. And next thing you know, we're talking about something and all that emotion comes out. And it shows up sometimes as tears. It could be just coming up as energy, like heat. People get really hot when they're releasing energy. And emotion is energy. It's emotion. It's energy that's in motion. So you want to get that energy to move out and not hold it in.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. You talk about finding peace, right? And I think everybody desires to want to have peace in their life. So you feel that dealing with situations that you might not even be aware of, but you're able to then tap into that situation that might be bothering them. Is that where Veronica comes in?
Yeah, well, we work together, and I can feel it's like I can feel the vibration that's in their body before they feel it sometimes. So it's like I'll start to feel it, and then it just comes up. So sometimes I'll start crying before the person will, and it just gets released. It's like an energy that's trapped in the body, and so we know that we're getting closer to the main thing that needs to be cleared out. But yeah, stuff gets stuck, as emotions and different things. Sometimes they could even show up as phobias. So when people have traumatic experiences that happen to them, sometimes there could be a phobia that's created. Like we worked with someone in the past that had multiple surgeries as a little kid, and later on in life, they had a phobia of knives. So we were able to clear that in just one session. And, to this day, I believe they're still doing great with that.
It was funny because when we were working with him, he's got this thing with knives. Like if he even just sees a knife, hey, Mike, good to see you.
Yeah, Mike.
If he saw a knife, he would get he started getting sweaty and get really nervous. And it was funny because his wife at the time was a sous chef. And so his family and kids, they would kind of tease him with it. So when we were working with him and taking him back to these experiences of all the surgeries, he was vividly remembering the experience, and it was coming out through him. And when we were done with that, he was talking with somebody, and I just kind of grabbed the knife and I handed it to him, and he's like, "What's this for?" And he's holding a knife and he looks down and he's like, "Oh," it wasn't triggering him anymore. So it's like we're desensitizing the body to not be so reactive to things and be more in a calm state.
So Mike asked us here, and we really appreciate you, Mike. We both know you, and I think we didn't we all meet in of course I'm like blank on the group. Maybe Mike will help us with the group name because he's still doing that, which is really awesome. And that's where I kind of learned, yeah, if you want to do live video, folks, you just do it. Problems, everything, you kind of got to like roll with, yeah, Live Masters. Thanks, Mike. It's Live Masters. Awesome. And yeah, he's Love Masters, of course. Yeah, we got to love ourselves before we can love anybody else. That's what I found for real. Now, and I really appreciate that you're here. I got a couple really, I think, hopefully good questions for you, though. So I'm going to ask you now, how does this technique differ from like CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and or NLP being neuro-linguistic programming? How is your therapy different than those, or is it very similar, I mean?
I would say they're all different in their own way. There's so many different, when you're dealing with emotional trauma, anything like that, there's many different paths to get to the same goal. And whatever path works best for each client, it's a tool. And so the more tools you have, like, hey, maybe our tool is effective, but it may not be the right tool for this specific person. So I'm not super familiar how they do cognitive behavioral therapy, so I can't talk too much about that. I know a little bit of experience with NLP, and it's definitely different, because NLP is more about like, we're gonna ask you questions, we're gonna help you reframe things, we're gonna remove a lot of limiting beliefs, and there's a process that they do, and I found it's a little bit of a lengthier process, but it's effective. And because I studied a little bit of it, over 10 years ago. But what I was doing when I was, just going to give you guys a little bit of my background, was I was a practicing chiropractor, and I specialized a lot in applied kinesiology, muscle testing, and then focused more on the emotional stuff, because I found it so much working with people that are dealing with chronic disease. And so as I was doing this, the technique that I had learned was called neuroemotional technique, which uses a lot of muscle testing. A lot of doctors will learn it. And I would just, with the muscle testing, I can get to the main core of the issue pretty quickly, within a few minutes, and help people to release things. And I can use their physiology to see, okay, what changed? All the pain that they're having is now gone just by releasing whatever emotions that they had. And then when we were in practice, Veronica would sit there, and she, like she said a second ago, was like, she can feel the emotion of those working with people. And that's when we teamed up, because I realized, well, that lets me know that I'm getting closer to the real issue, as opposed to just kind of going around it. And that was the beauty part about when we work, because when people work with us, they get both of us. And it just, we really want to get to the core and not try to waste a lot of people's time and getting around it, because the conscious mind can get so much in the way, and we want to bypass all of that.
Right. So
we were sorry. I was going to say, we were talking last night about NLP, and when you, in the past, when you worked on people doing the emotional stuff, you had a NLP practitioner or master teacher or something?
Yeah, I was working with one guy, and this is before I even learned about NLP, and he was dealing with some health issues, or just some pain, and opened up something with him that he hadn't released or done before. And it was interesting, because he mentioned to me, like, you know what? He's like, I'm a master NLP practitioner, and I've never seen anybody get to the core issue that fast. And maybe within like less than 5 minutes, we could do it if the person's open enough to do that.
That's
so
what that is.
We go really deep with people, as long as they're willing to open up. That is the key thing.
That's really awesome. I mean, one of the things I've been doing is to study NLP and hopefully at some point be a master. because I like their timeline therapy. I mean, I have a lot to learn, and depending, let's just say this: how do you do that? How do you get to the root cause so quickly?
Yeah. NLP can do it too. We were chatting about this last night.
Yeah.
That again, different tools,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the more you become more confident and comfortable with the technique, you know how it works, and you have more experience with it. You
Right.
start to develop an intuitive ability with it, and it's not just with the techniques and stuff that we use. We use a combination of different techniques. We've evolved over
Mm-hmm.
the years, a lot of intuition, empathic abilities. So that's why we teamed up. But say something like NLP is a person who's been doing it for a long time or knows it really, really well. I'll use Tony Robbins as an example. He
Yeah.
pretty much, he wasn't the one that created NLP, but he's
Yeah.
the one that publicized most of it. So that's how people heard about it. And he's really good at what he does. And he can do
Yes.
it pretty quickly because he's very experienced with that. So when you're learning something like that, you just need more experience. And for us to get faster, I like the concept of muscle testing because I can get biofeedback from people.
Ah.
And the feedback lets me know if it's like I tell people, are we playing hot or are we playing cold? We're going to talk about this issue. You think this is the issue, but we'll stop and let's test that. And it's like, no, that's not the main issue. Let's go to something different. So it really helps us from kind of going around the situation and just cutting right through to it.
And we could do it remotely, so you don't have to be in person to do the work.
Yes, and that's what you did with me, because we were like, I think we were in a Zoom, if I recall, or something like that. And yeah, so that was, or maybe even just on the phone. I can't recall. It was a few years ago, but it was really, I mean, you went right to the core and pretty quickly, and felt that there was, that clearly. I mean, I guess I had experienced trauma, and so yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. It doesn't show today. That's a good thing.
Good.
Yeah, we all experience trauma. Everybody there's like a different degrees of trauma. Some people have experienced like horrific things, and others, not so bad. But it's all how we interpret in our minds what happens to us and what we hold on to. And what we hold on to is the stuff that we want to release and be able to process the emotions that are stuck in there, but then release it where you don't have to hold on to it anymore.
Yeah, that is the key, is to remove the block. And you mentioned earlier, Aaron, about how, or it was Veronica, but some people don't even know that they have these blocks until you start to talk to them.
Yeah, because they show up in your behavior. And when we do things habitually, and we're always wondering, like, why do these things keep happening? Why do certain people keep showing up? This situation, lucky day, bad day, whatever that is. But it's all from a thinking thought process. And one of the challenges that we had when we were doing this work for people early on was when we can help clear out a lot of the emotion stuff. We can get to the core issue. But we found that okay, they feel better because it was more for health issues. They feel better, and they would come back and realize like they're just going through the same, repeating the cycle all over again. And then through our studies, again, learning over the years, we realized that, well, you also have to change the way you think about things.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, it's like, use NLP as an example, as the concept of reframing. Like, let's look at things in a different way. Did it really happen the way you believe it happened when you were 3 years old? Because people will take a childhood experience and they'll say, yeah, I remember this happened, that happened. And you go talk to the family member or the parent who was around at that time, like, that's not how it happened. And you're like, oh, I've always believed this is how it was. So that's the program you start to run. And and people will notice it based on how they feel. Like, I don't feel very good today. I feel sad. There's something wrong. I feel stuck in my life. And it's like, why? Because there's something that's preventing them from moving forward. And usually that's a lot of emotional blockages that happen.
Yes, I agree, because that's really what happened with me is that you felt that there was some trauma. And so I asked, and it's like, well, what happened? Was there this situation? And it was like, no, 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 no. I don't know whether it's always a matter of interpretation, is what I'm thinking. And I do know about how the mind is like a tape recorder when you're young, and everything that you experience is put into your subconscious, and that becomes your belief system.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I think, about reframing that belief system so that you can then apply new concepts, and that become like the new tape, And so I guess I've done that, and maybe I blocked out whatever the problems were. And I try not personally to get too caught up on, well, this or that, because what I try and focus on is the present and the place I'm in today, which, I mean, I started out doing this stuff and I realized, oh, a lot of this stuff is NLP anyways, or that whole, mind body experience. And so maybe I need to do NLP so I can learn more about it. And that's what I'm doing so that I can help people, help people more. And that's what you guys are doing. And that's so awesome. Truly is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed, and I hope that the viewers feel this too, because I mean, the fact is that you guys are super intelligent and super smart, get to the point, and then help people through it. So maybe, obviously, even though I didn't know, well, this is what was bothering me, and the other person said, no, there wasn't these problems. Who do you believe? Well, I believe myself, right? I just like, so you were successful with me. Yeah.
And sometimes the mind can create the problem, because you felt a certain way, maybe in your mind, you created a problem. Maybe that wasn't there. It may or may not have been there, but based on how you interpret the situation that was happening.
Exactly. I totally agree. And we really appreciate you, Mike, for watching. Absolutely. It's 1,000%, because we love Mike. He's the guy that started me doing the videos, and here I am on TV. Well, I'm on Facebook too, but we're on TV, and that's really awesome too as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your aspect that you utilize, Veronica? So yeah, I don't want to do all the talking. It's not about me, really. It's not. It's about you guys.
So like my part in how we work and everything, like how we do our processes.
Yes. Okay. Let me just ask a specific question.
Yeah.
No, just no. Right. Okay. How does having clarity play a role in the therapy that you provide?
Sometimes, like when you're clear about what the issue is, then you can realize I always thought it was this thing, but it's really that, or it goes back to my childhood. And it's kind of like the pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place. And then you realize, because of that incident, different things and events happened in your life, or you attracted certain people into your life, or you always did things a certain way. So by getting clear with with what happened, or even clearing out that emotion, sometimes it doesn't even, the incident that happened doesn't really matter, but it's how you felt. So once you clear that emotional energy that's there, then everything else just kind of falls into place. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, really comes down to a matter of awareness. Like we were talking about earlier, is a lot of our experiences from the past, they go ahead and we move on with our life, and we forget about all the different experiences. It's hard to remember every single thing. Veronica remembers more than I do. And so there's a lot of events that happen in our life, think about 365 days of things that happen over the lifespan of however old we are today. That's a lot of experiences that we have to remember. And so we tend to remember more of the most emotionally significant events in our lives. But even the little ones we can forget that can still have a major impact on us. So when you're aware of, being aware of how we feel. And one of the biggest challenges and things we try to stress with people when we're not just helping them, but like educating them, is that one, it's important, and it's also okay to feel emotion. It's a natural part of us. And we're taught in our society that emotion is a very negative thing. It's like when you're young, what are most people taught? Don't cry, or I'll give you something to cry about. Don't be a sissy. Guys will get it like, don't why are you crying? The movies that say that, why you there's no crying in baseball. That's the quote I'm looking for. So it's always like, don't cry, suck it up, don't say anything. And so we're taught to bottle everything up and act like everything's okay in our life. And we move on, but really, like, it eats at you on the inside when you bottle something up that's so heavy. And if it's too heavy, what can happen is people tend to find a way to mask that, get that pain out. And so they do it in a more destructive way. That can result in alcoholism, drug addiction, or any type of addiction you can think of. And for some people, it's so intense that you see suicide rates increase.
Right.
Because they don't know what to do with that emotion, and no one has ever taught us how to process our emotions properly.
And it can show up also in disease, like cancer, and just different things. That we have a book from Louise Hay, and it's called How to Heal Yourself, and it shows like all the different ailments that people go through. And it's not like saying this is what it is, but it's a probable cause to to what's going on with you, like emotions connected to diseases. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that a lot of illness just comes from our thoughts.
Yeah.
And I know how important thoughts are, because they dictate ultimately the behaviors like you talked about. And so getting control, releasing the bad ones is the key.
Yeah.
And then that's what you do, is to help people release these problems so that they can enjoy their everyday life.
Yeah. And what that does is when that finally gets released, and I've done a lot of emotional clearing over the last, since mid 2000 when I started doing, like 06 is when I started getting into this work. And I've released so much. And the person that I am now compared to who I used to be, it's night and day. I used to do a lot of chronic pain because I never wanted to express how I was feeling about things. School stresses, financial worries, you name it. And without being had an outlet to let that out, like, my body would create physical pain. And like, I'm in chiropractic school trying to figure out, like, I got back pain in chiropractic school. That's kind of ironic. And no one was able to fix anything until one of my mentors, who got me into a lot of the applied kinesiology, started doing the emotional work on me one day. And then it's like everything released. He laid me down, and he finally was able to adjust what was locked up in my body for so long. And just like the emotional stream that came out because of everything that I was dealing with at the time. And
so what was your motivation for doing the therapy that you're doing now then? Was it your personal pain experience, do you think?
That was the first part. It was an awareness, like, wow, this is, I really wanted to be a good practitioner. I wanted to help. And I still want to help people. And I wanted to be as effective as I could. And sometimes when you're going through any kind of therapy and you're doing the things that and they don't seem to be working like they should, then there's something that we're missing. And I just found a big part, just working with so many patients over the years in chronic disease, cancer patients, is a lot of them I just found just asking them questions. And I started hearing more about their life, what's causing this. And I found when it comes to health challenges, a big majority of that is the things that people hold on to, the way they think about things in their life. And then there's a small percentage that is, physical and diet.
I think diet is really an important factor.
It's
Absolutely.
important,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
where
think
Mike,
emotions are more.
he's definitely on the healthy diet and trying to help people with that. Um, I've been trying to be a lot more conscious about the things that I eat. And he's motivated me again. Oh yeah, just take the camera and look at the
Mhm.
look at the ingredients, you know.
Yeah.
And when you can't pronounce the names, it's a bad
Mhm.
thing. How do you feel about the fact that it's a concern to be able to get healthy food for some people that just go to the store? I mean, I've done it and just buy whatever they want because that's what they always got.
Mhm.
How would a person change that thinking?
Well, you first it's like the awareness of knowing what you're putting into your body, because if you're not aware of what you're consuming, you're just going to go and buy whatever. But once you start to realize what is actually in the food that you're eating, like hydrogenated oils, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, all the food colorings, and that if you start to look at what's going on in the world, they're starting to ban a few things, and like in
Mhm.
Europe, there's some ingredients that are banned there, but not here, and
It's the other way around too.
yeah,
That there's things that are banned here. I mean, because recently I did a blog on like McDonald's French fries.
yeah,
And when you're putting as many as 11 different ingredients into French fries, it's like, well, salt's optional. That leaves two: potatoes and the
yeah,
oil, right?
Mhm.
Not 11.
yeah. It shouldn't have that many.
Right. But in Europe, it's different. There's only three.
Yeah.
So GMOs play a part here, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And,
Maybe you
and
could.
and they become addicting.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
so
they
what we,
make
yeah,
it.
what we found is a lot of people when we're talking nutrition now is, again, there's no awareness. Not a lot of people are educated on healthy diet, and just eat what do you think is good. So most
Hmm.
people go off their diets based off of taste and how they feel. And a lot of times, again, we can say, we talk about, go back to emotions a little bit. A lot of times people can be emotional eaters. I found
Hmm.
that was like that. When I was stressed about something, I tend to eat. I was like, am I really hungry? No, I'm just like something to take to distract me from whatever what I was feeling. But when I would like finally get a chance to deal with whatever I was holding on to, it's like I don't need the fix anymore. But it really comes down to education, nutritional education, emotional education. There's a whole thing now, emotional intelligence, and it's. I'm glad that it's getting more noticed now than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 50 years ago. It's like now it's coming to light and people are more aware of their emotions, but it's like we still need to process stuff and be okay with it.
Yeah, I think ever since the COVID, that really like jacked up the numbers when it came to mental health crisis,
Mhm.
and drug addiction, alcohol addictions, and all these problems because a lot of people ended up not being able to go anywhere, and they just probably didn't know how to deal with that, which is understandable. Um, Whereas today, I think things are different. I think that there's a lot more awareness, like you said, and I don't know whether I'm right or wrong or indifferent, but I feel like people like Kennedy are going to make a difference in what is allowed into food, what's not allowed into food, and raise our awareness on the healthiness of making good choices.
Yeah, and I feel that that should be done. It's like, because if stuff is getting put into our foods that we're not even aware about, and we think it's
Right.
healthy, but it's not, I think it should be brought to the spotlight. Like, this is what you're actually consuming, or ban it from the
Right.
foods. Yeah, because
I
we
agree.
should be eating healthy foods, and or stuff that's considered healthy, but it has all these other added preservatives or other ingredients that are chemicals that
Hmm.
are affecting, our genetic makeup. That's not
Yeah,
good for us.
I
And it
totally
affects your
agree.
mood.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They sure make it taste good, though, don't they?
And that's the challenge. So people will go more off taste than they will by, okay, well, is this right for me? Not. But again, it's when people decide, hey, I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to be better. They're going to search for answers. And we never push anybody to do things they don't want to when they're ready for it. And that's the biggest thing is, we understand that not everybody's going to agree. They're not going to care. Even if they know, they're not going to care. And the thing for us, as if we're aware of that, is can we be okay with that? Can we be okay with their decisions? Even if we feel that's not the greatest decision, can we not get caught up emotionally into what they're doing?
Right. Because that's what my friends like yourselves want to do, is help people, and I think that's where education comes in. To give them the education to bring that awareness up, because it's the old story, if you don't want to change, nothing's going to change. It's just going to stay the same old way. So don't complain to me about how bad things are when you won't do anything to change it. But so this is where I think the awareness comes in, it fits in. It really does. What are some of the things that you would recommend to people that might think that they could use your services?
Like stuff that they're struggling with, like Aaron mentioned before, is like feeling stuck, like you have ideas of something you want to do, but you just can't move forward for whatever reason. So there might be something that's stopping you, that maybe from the past, that that's just stopping you from moving forward on anything. It could even be starting something new, whether it's a new business, new relationship, or even people that are, how they keep attracting the same negative thing in their life. That's a pattern. So it's a pattern that that we have to break. So that's something that we can help with. If they're struggling with that, or traumas, past traumas, stress. There's so many different things.
Yeah, a lot of people we tend to see right now, they're feeling really stuck in their life, and it's creating a lot of depression. They feel like they don't know what direction to go in. They don't have any guidance or answers. And the concept we always try to get to people is that we're all creators, and that we have the ability to create whatever it is that we want in our life. And the only thing that gets in our way is our own thoughts and our feelings. And because how we think and how we feel is going to dictate what we do. And so if people have a belief that they can't do things in their life, then their whole physiology of their body is going to react and do things that's going to match that frequency that they're thinking about. And so again, it's always about awareness, is that we can start to change that, because you can make different choices. And sometimes it can be overwhelming for people. So we always do like little things at a time, like the baby steps concept is, let's focus on one thing, because if they try to make too many changes all at once, it's overwhelming. And that's when people don't do anything. It's like, I'm going to just resort back to what I know. It's comfortable. We got to ease the body into a new habits of patterns until it becomes it just becomes automatic for them.
So little steps are bigger than trying to take big strides and swallow off too much at one time, and just one step forward type thing can go a long way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because then you create that sense of overwhelm. Like you have your to-do list and there's like 50 different things. And it's like, oh my gosh, where do I start? Just put, one at a time, check it off. And then it's not as overwhelming on the mind, because you're doing one task at a time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking with a friend, and like she's doing a lot of stuff, and I'm like, you need to take some self-care time, and how important that is. And she didn't want to, really, because she's like, I'm doing what I like to do, and that was good, because I know I got to the point where it's like, what, I'm just over these 20-hour days things, and so I've been better for myself, and I think rest is a big important factor.
Hmm.
How much rest do you suggest that people would get?
I would say everybody's different because there's
Hmm.
some people that need more rest than others, and it just
Mhm.
depends on their physiology. Like I could go on less sleep than Aaron. Aaron needs to sleep more than I do, but
Right.
um,
Yeah.
it's just
I like my my
Love
8 hours.
to.
I like to
you
rest.
need to beauty sleep.
I need my beauty sleep. I got my covers on my eyes, no bags. No, we don't do that.
That's awesome. Um, so I want to know, what do you think is the secret to a person that might be thinking about particularly business? Because you guys got into business for yourself. What would you suggest to somebody who's thinking about starting their own business?
Well,
Go ahead.
one thing, there's tax advantages. There's, tax write-offs, things like that. More freedom. It
Hmm.
it depends on the business, but you can create your own schedule. At least that's what I enjoy from it. Um, and it's it feels better to own your own business than to have to work for someone else or under somebody else's rules. At least that's
Yeah.
how I see it.
I'm similar, but again, it doesn't mean everybody has to have their own business. They can still,
Right.
work their way
Mhm.
up in someone's company and help that company. Everybody's
Mhm.
different in what the thing is. I think the key to all of it is, do you love doing it?
Mhm.
Right.
It's like, I think in the past, I felt like everybody needed to be an entrepreneur and get rid of the 9 to 5 and working for somebody. But then I've changed my viewpoint on that, is because there's a lot of great companies out there
Mhm.
where, they can earn lots of money. There's creative ideas that people can work on. If they enjoy doing it, that's all that matters. Then it doesn't feel like work. But let's say if someone's getting into a certain business because someone told you should start your own business, and they start doing something and they do it, let's say just because they can make a lot of money. They heard there's a potential they can make a lot of money, and they're doing it mainly for that reason, but not really because they love it. Then like when the work gets like, too much, or they get, there's all kinds of burdens, it can be a little stressful running your own business. There's a lot to think about.
Mhm.
People can burn out very easily. And that's one thing we tell people, is like, no matter what it is you want, there's so many different ways to earn money. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Is what do you love to do, and do more of that.
Yeah,
And,
I think
and
that.
also, oh, go ahead.
No, I would go ahead, Veronica.
I was gonna say another thing is like what you're doing. Like, are you doing it to help others? Because if it's just for what you can get from it, I believe it should be more of like, how are you doing, or what are you doing to help other people? Like you're giving back to society, or also doing it. A lot of times it's like, do it with God in mind, because then you're bringing in the spiritual part of it, and it's not really for your own I guess selfish or egotistic needs, but it's like when you have God in mind, you're helping more people, and doing that, all the money and whatever will come, but it's really having that, like, helping other people. Like, that's, to me, that's the main thing um that really should be priority, is your service to humanity and how you're helping others.
I think that excellently said. I mean, I couldn't have done it better because, I feel I am a servant of God, and I have a purpose,
Yeah.
and that purpose is to be a servant for the community, to help them. And so, yeah, I picked on a couple of things that I could do, and most of it came from my own personal experience of having been through it.
Mhm.
For my motivation, I'm just glad I am where I am, because I think helping people, you, it's not like, it just seems like regular working for somebody else. Uh, Getting acknowledgement for it can be really difficult sometimes for people. And, the work environment, you might work with somebody you don't like, but, this might make you want to think about being self-employed, but it takes skills to be self-employed.
Mhm.
You can't can't just like never have done it and hope to God that you're going to make it. I don't think it works like that. So let's make it maybe a little bit lighter here. So what do you guys like to do for fun?
Actually, when we get the opportunity, because of time purposes, I like enjoying going out in nature and hiking. When we don't do that, I really enjoy meditating. I'm trying to make that more of a practice on a daily basis now, because it's what helps me reconnect to who I truly am. And it just, everything that, at least, I'll share my perspective, I'll let Veronica share hers. It brings that peace into my whole being. When I'm at peace, I think clear. All the ideas and things I'm concerned about, how do I do this? How do I do that? I have to let all that go in the meditation. I'm in that stillness, and I'm connected to the infinitude of cosmic consciousness. And so that's when everything will start to flow to me. And so when I'm focusing on the next goal or things that I want to create and manifest in my life, is like that. I've learned that is my priorities. I have to do it there in a mental process first, because I have to be able to match that frequency of the person or things I want to create in the near future that it may not be here in this present reality, but it's there when you do it in a meditative state, and you have to see it, you have to feel it. And we're practicing that on a daily basis. And we've experienced that so many times where it's like, okay, there's no more fears, there's no more worries. We know, we just put faith that something's going to happen, and it happens. But the moment we start to get too caught up into like what's happening in our daily life and, the society, ourselves, our business, that like cuts you off from all of that. And so meditation has been very, very helpful for me since I started doing it almost 10 years ago now. Wow. A lot of time, Stephen.
That is. I wouldn't say that I meditate as much as I guess I do, but I just don't even realize that it is meditation, because I don't specifically try and do that. But I love nature. I think you know that. And that's a good part. How about you, Veronica?
I also we actually meditate together, so I do enjoy that, just that quiet solitude and just being in that energy and just allowing spirit to guide us, with whatever we do. And it's like when you try to force something to happen, like a lot of times it doesn't happen the way you want it to, but when you allow that spirit energy to just flow through you, things just seem to fall into place. And it's a really good space to be in, and you feel at least for me, like the connectedness to everyone and everything. And it's just, I could see how we're all connected. And you could think of someone that lives across the world, and then they, if it's a friend or whatnot, and then they call you and it's like, oh, I was just thinking of you, or just little things like that happen. And it's the connection that we all have.
I think we all are connected in, as one thought for sure. Seems like all my friends are kind of really on the same line, and that's really awesome, because I do believe in surrounding yourself with the kind of people you want to be like. And so I'm in good company here, folks. I just tell you. So what do you have coming up? You got some plans. I know that we talked kind of briefly about the fact that you were thinking about coming back. You were doing live broadcasting before. I don't know if you're thinking about it more seriously again, or what's your plans?
Yeah, we do plan on coming back and doing lives again, and more videos. This time probably a little shorter. Before we used to do about an hour videos, and this time it's going to be a little shorter than that, probably.
Yeah, and get back into our YouTube. We want to do one of our goals. We want to educate people more on these concepts and to share with them. Like, we realize that there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with stuff on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of times they don't tell anybody about it. And when you're in those states, and I'll go back to what you were mentioning earlier, Stephen, about we've gone through different experiences. we have to look at those, even the bad ones, right? There's good experiences,
Right.
there's bad experiences.
Right.
Bad experiences are what actually helps us to grow as a person. And we have to be grateful for those experiences. It's hard to be grateful in the moment while it's happening. If you can practice that, that is a great skill to have. But in the moment, it's challenging. And you may not see the blessing in it until like years later. Like, if that had not happened, I wouldn't be doing this today.
Right.
But having gone through different emotional experiences, gone through physical pain, I've dealt with periods of depression as well, and feeling stuck and realize when we do the work and it helps. It's like I know that I had to go through these experiences because I have to understand what other people are going to be going through. And if I can figure out how to get myself out of there, then I can help somebody else get out of there as well.
I totally agree. I mean, that's part of the basis for what I do is my experiences. And they weren't fun. And I thought that they were at the time. But I hurt a lot of people, and particularly my family. And, in retrospect, I feel bad about that. Certainly can't change it. So, I mean, I feel bad that I disappointed people. Yeah. But I wouldn't change anything, because if I did, we wouldn't be sitting here talking like this, That's the whole point. So you're planning on coming back and doing some live broadcasts as well, huh? And I like the idea, because I know that this runs maybe close to an hour, and I always did hour shows too in the past. But the shorter, the better. It seems like they want it shorter these days, because how much time does everybody have, right?
It still all depends. In our format, we wanted to do that, but we've seen other, we look at YouTube. Sometimes stuff that we watch, we listen to a lot of podcasts, and those are sometimes 2 hours formats.
Yeah.
A lot of those, and people still watch. It really depends on the content that you're doing. So ours wants to be more like educational, so something that people can digest a little bit of time. Maybe at some point we'll get into long form stuff again,
Right.
But it's all in the works right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because I've seen videos with Evan Carmichael, who I followed for a long time on YouTube, because I learned so much from the various guests that he has on. 3-hour videos, plus, and maybe close 4-hour videos. So you gotta like listen to it while you're working or whatever to try and get through it. And I still haven't gotten through one of them. But then we think, what about when we were in school? We went for, 6 to 8 hours a day, and college was probably maybe shorter, but much more compact of information. So yeah, it is a difficult decision, isn't it? How long should it be? But it's all good. So we got a couple. Go ahead.
I just start with what always feels comfortable, and then it's just getting the momentum. And then however it shows up, it's supposed to show up. And I'm just going to allow it to come however it wants to. I'm not going to try to force it. I've done that in the past. It doesn't work very well, like Veronica mentioned. Like if I feel like it has to happen a certain way, and it's like it doesn't. It's like I'm like pushing that away. When I learn to allow things to happen however it's supposed to show up, it's fascinating what comes. It's like in this is for everybody to realize too. It's like, just if you have a goal or something you want to put out there, something you want to create, is like allow all the different options and possibilities to come to you. You might see it one way, but it might show up in a completely different aspect, and be open to that. Because you can miss so many different opportunities if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lauren. We appreciate the fact that you came on. She's a wonderful person, and I think has a lot in common with and understands what you might be doing. Pretty dynamic person. Thank you for joining us. So we only have like a couple minutes left. Well, let's see, like about 2 or 3 minutes. Why don't you wrap up here and give us some final points that you're thinking?
Earlier, you mentioned peace, like having peace in your mind, and it really comes down to how you think about things, and like, are you looking at something always negative or is it positive, and how to find happiness. But when you're truly connected, spiritually and through meditation, that's what we practice, that it helps to calm the mind, because a lot of people have like a chatter mind, like it's always going and there it doesn't really have the opportunity to relax and just to be still. But when you can find that that relaxed point, that quietness within the mind, and you go within, that's when you'll really find that peace and your happiness. That just kind of falls into place, because if you're doing what you love and you're helping other people, and things are just more fulfilling, instead of just doing things just for the money or things like that. Like that's not really as fulfilling as helping another person, another human being.
Yeah, that's true. And thanks, Lauren. I mean, she talks, the simple truth is, once you know you can push away the fear, that awareness, like you were talking about, Veronica, yeah, you're in a much better spot. We really appreciate everybody for taking time to watch. We're kind of on a little time thing, and I hate to push anybody out, but because we get run over, but then it'll get the next show. They'll cut us off at some point, but no, we really do appreciate everybody. I will be back on Friday at 7 p.m. I'm planning on having Dr. Bernstein. He's from Canada too, by the way, and he is going to talk to us about diet. So if diet's important to you, come and join us at 7 p.m. He's very intelligent guy. It's like, he kind of blew my mind. So thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
You're very
welcome.
Thank you,
everyone, for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
We do thank everybody. You have a great night, all, and we'll all see you soon. Come back. Check out the Get to Know. I put the link in there so you can reach out to Aaron and Veronica. If you need to get that information, just let me know and we'll get it to you. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.